His short stories, poems, and translations have appeared in The Polyglot, The Imagist, Ahoy Literary, Squid Lit, and elsewhere. He's currently working on his first novel about his trucking days across Canada and the United States. Clean Ponds is his first chapbook of poetry with Cactus Press of Montreal. You can find out more about him at www.adaniyal.ca. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daniyal.
Hey, hello everybody. Thanks a lot for coming out today. Okay, so yeah, we're an intimate crowd. You know, the best are here. Everybody else stuck in traffic. so. Oh, to be a flower in your morning bath. I'll let you pick me and bring me home. There you'll stick me in a book of your favorite poems. And while dying bread, I'll breathe fragrance into your pages. Thank you. So, I'm going to do some readings first, and then we shall have a Q&A session where you'll be able to talk about what we have over here. So the first poem that I'm going to read is about my traveling days all over, all over Eastern Europe. As I went on exchange in Eastern Europe a lot, I went through internships and everything. So I had opportunity to explore a lot of that area. So this first poem is called Prayer for the Black Sea, and it's about those days and about those lands. Prayer for the Black Sea. I stand on a beach in Bulgaria, facing east. My line of sight travels the hawk's path to Georgia, roosting in the mountains of Caucasus. No matter which shore you stand on of our Mare Nostrum, our Karateni, Chernomore, Mare Negra, you look into the horizon and see a mirrored world. Trabzon looks through Crimea, Istanbul to Odessa, my eyes to yours on the opposite shore. They ask, how are you? Are you happy? What is the purpose of our lives? You're out there too tonight, looking to the sea, past the disco lights, reflecting in water, your gaze far beyond the twinkle of tankers. Are you looking for love, contemplating the beauty of creation? See, we're not that different from each other, and neither are our nations across Caucasus and the Mediterranean. Maybe ours is more nouveau riche, dotted with nightclubs on the beach, blaring turbo folk music, sparkling red Ferraris slaloming through potholes along crumbling seaside avenues, hazy cafes, old men behind aviators throwing dice on the backgammon boards, waiting for their coffee grounds to settle. For millennia, the peoples of the sea have cast their nets. They've launched their ships yearning for adventure, trade, or conquest. And others on other shores stood in wait, hoping for the best, but prepared for the worst. Praying in the silence of the cruel sky to not be all alone, drifting in the black seas of the universe. Thank you. And, like what I remember the most from my travels is, the immense skies, the blue skies or the starry skies that I saw all over the continents, like all of the steppes in Central Asia and all of that. So, I look up at the sky and I try to get, I try to get the stars to guide my way. So this is about, the following poem is about that one. It's called Ithaca. And it is from Ugo Foscolo. It's inspired by Ugo Foscolo. Despair not, sailor, shipwrecked in a lonely cosmos. Surely with each league traversed, all spaceships come closer to their planets. Just promise me this, that when you once again kiss the stony shores of your Ithaca, you will be a much more merciful Ulysses. Thank you. And yeah, there is beauty in the world, and there's also dread in the world. As you know, we are in the middle of two globalized wars, which seem to be not stopping. And that will the start of the wars also plays an important role in the fact of this book. So we'll talk about that later. So the following poem is after W.B. Yeats. It's called Zeitgeist, and it comments on the current state of the world and on the current times. Here it is. To think that in an era where humanity can reach into the hearts of distant nebulas, folly rules sovereign on earth. We stroll towards annihilation, taking photographs. Bid fond farewell to reason. The falconer has bit off the head of his falcon on live television. There's pandemonium on the streets, screams and sloganeering convene as strident as the air raid sirens. Amidst diatribes and bombings, the tears of children are smothered in ashes. There's never a good time for any of this happen, yet here we are. And there was never a good time for you, man of my time, lying with your phone in hand, watching this 21st century theater of chaos, wondering when the new bloody revelation is due. What beast resurrected from the annals of shame announces to the world its second coming? Thank you. So in the past, like 3 years before, I actually happened to visit Ukraine during the war. I had to see some friends. And I visited Bucha, which was the site of massacre by Russian army of unarmed civilians, and their mass graves were found near their church. So I wrote this poem the night of after visiting Bucha. It is called Listopad, which is, in many Slavic languages means November, and it literally means fall of leaves. So, Listopad, it's for Bucha. Fog of war envelops Europe. London and Paris darken early. Rocket flares light up the eastern sky. Planes blown up in dogfights glow like fireflies in the night. Somewhere the mad Tsar in his fortress invents a world of his own, imagines history as a sock puppet show. It's the month of Listopad. Leaves fall over mud paths and craters left by mortars. A red layer covers trenches and bunkers on former front lines. In the forest, wild hogs step on landmines and explode. I kick at the rubble of a bombed vet supply store. In the distance, sirens blare. Every yard of this land is haunted by those who fell fighting for it. They will inhabit TVs and toasters carried over to apartments in Kursk and Ekaterinburg. They'll howl in the night so nobody anywhere from Kola Peninsula to Kamchatka can ever sleep again. The buildings are like guttered dollhouses, their walls caved in, charred beams jutting out like the splinter ribs of a roadkill. I see a baby nursery spattered with debris, cribs full of glass shards and bricks. I try hard to swallow disgust. My hand tightens into a fist. Bombarded boulevards, piles of carbonized cars, young flesh rotting on the banks of Dnieper. And all this killing, what for? For every sawed-off leg, every disfigured cadaver, I shall not rest till I deliver you all to the fucking Hague. And of course, that war and complicated, my memories of my exchange semester in Moscow. And this poem talks about it and kind of reflects on what has changed after and what, is going wrong and what was going on wrong all along. But we just didn't notice. It's called Clean Palms. It's a title poem. The other day, I was remembering, after class we used to hang out at the student bar to trace the shape of our hands on the wall with chalk. We used to pass booze through the broken window to our friends who had already been kicked out. Then we would walk back to our dorm through dark playgrounds and sleepy residential blocks. This was just after the leaves fell, but long before the bombs dropped. Now that the natural order of things have been overturned, we can see through the tears in the wallpaper into the fissures of the universe. It's like when we looked at ourselves in the mirror of ice that had formed over the clean ponds on a particularly cold October night. And through that thin sheet, you could see fish swimming with cadavers, faint streaks of blood flowing from the shipwreck of a sunken world. In my memories, it rains with blue snow. Back then, nobody could have imagined this all would happen in just a few years more. Had I known when I left, I would have drawn the wrath of spirits. I would have smashed all crockery on the floor. I know I can never again go back to Moscow. Thank you. Clean Ponds is an area in Moscow called Chistya Prudy. Clean Ponds is the literal translation of that. This is called Clean Ponds because it used to be dirty back in the day, but then 19th century prints, because there was a butcher's market nearby, and the 19th century prints cleaned it all up, so it became Clean Ponds. But you know that butchery is still around there somewhere, right? It's in the debt, and that's what this poem talks about. And why do people do evil, right? And there's so many people who who claim they are working on God's will. They are the ones who inflict a lot of pain before. Why is that, right? So the following poem is called "People of the Book," and this is about that hypocrisy. Far too often, we of professed Abrahamic faiths, Jews, Muslims, Christians, we blatantly deny one fundamental tenet of our religion, that one day we must all face God. How else can you explain such callous disdain for human life and the zeal to inflict pain? It's as if we will never die and be shown in the mirror our own rotten core, riddled with worms. Thank you. And further on, we meditate on the problem of evil. Why does evil exist in the world? Let me get my So this following poem reflects on that. It's called "On the Genealogy of Evil." I scrape away the withered leaves and sit on the tracks that lead into the fog. The rotting iron fence, crooked and bent, like vultures hunched on carrion, and high schoolers on their field trips take selfies with death. A pleasant moss had grown over the walls, blackened with snow and stain. If you take your earbuds out, you may hear barked orders and the crack of rifle butts. These walls have kept everything, even the scratch marks of fingernails. This echo has followed me to the capitals of Europe. On the express train from Budapest to Krakow, I heard a murmuring, but on looking back found only an empty car. I hang my head low and meditate on the problem of evil. What makes us strangle humanity in the cradle? It would be so easy if there was just a contraption somewhere in our brain that moved our will, so that we could dissect it and trace its nerve ending. If we could work it like the gears of a mechanical clock, maybe we can even fix it. But evil is invisible to the naked eye, like a partition of the soul. It is the bestial whisper that has echoed in men's ear since time immemorial. Their vacant eyes haunt me. Looking into them, I look right into the dark walls of their heart. I was ignorant till the very last, until a rifle fires and the vultures dine on my guts. Thank you. Well, I think we have had too much negativity around here, eh? Let's tone it down a little bit. Like dandelions in spring. Love, let's not talk about the war right now. Look at the dew glow of the leaf of grass. How sunlight sneaks under the awning and crawls to our toes. The air is crisp early in the morning, and the world is so slow. It lets the dust particles form figures of angels like blown out dandelions. Love, like dandelions in spring, let us be radiated in the light and the heat of explosions. Let us be inundated by the blast waves of seeds of peace in the springtime of the nations. Thank you. And the last poem that I'll read in the usual section, maybe I'll do an encore at the end because we're the end poem, would be on a lighter note too. It would be, it is called Fortress of Solitude. Let me just find it. There it is. How can I justify to you, my young friend, the reason to keep on living in a world at the brink of collapse? How can I tell you those stars that you reach out to with your hands have been dead for millennia, and you only just arrived? Lights left on in empty offices, ghost carousel on swivel chairs, huddled figures march along avenues, their inside light quivering in the autumn air and then dying. This is the city of ghosts. The universe has forever expanded since the primal explosion, and its extension has exceeded imagination. Yet there is no space vast enough to hold you when you have to run, with your heart exploding in your chest. So far, you have known nothing but ugliness. The world is dead. Everything has been already said. We gave it our best, yet we lost it to madness. There's nothing more to do but to destroy ourselves, it seems. We sit in darkened rooms on bright screens, manifesting messiahs. We go to the market to pick out false prophets, holy fools amongst those screaming in the streets. So much writing on the walls, yet no one reads those scrawls. There will come a day when we reawaken on damp ground where we had fallen in the cold depths of autumn, and will be greeted by the pioneer flower. Maybe the universe softens, retracts its claws. Maybe we'll need to respect the passage of seasons and let time take its time. Good or bad, one day it has to end. We'll have to detach from the noise. We'll have to talk to each other. The world will live again. Flowers will blossom. Songbirds will return to the gardens. But that day is not today. For now, seek the window where the sun beats and guard the heat in the fortress of your solitude. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
have a quick intermission, I believe of 15 minutes. I think there's enough for you to grab some tea